All right, we got Jeremiah Gemmel here. Thank you for joining us. If you have a question, please hit the raise hand button. And Michael Coe, you are up first.
Hey, Jeremiah, what is it about Kyron Williams that makes him such a good running back, in your opinion?
I think it's his vision. Out of all the backs I think I've played in college, I think he's probably had the best vision I've faced out of really all my 3 years of playing in college. I think his vision is at an elite level. I mean, he knows even when the gap he's going to isn't open, it's not hard for him to hit 2 jump cuts and find an open gap. I thought we did a really good job of in the first half of containing him, and then the second half we'd stay in our gaps, and that was the thing with him. If you popped out of a gap, he would find that open gap and get into it. And I think in the second half, I think we were just starting to get a little bit too nosy, and guys were hopping out of his gaps, and he was finding to run the ball.
Thank you.
C.L. Brown, go ahead.
Yeah, Jeremiah, can you take me through what all you saw? I believe you got the first contact on Williams on that 91-yard touchdown run. And I was just wondering, and then you ended up being the last one who could have maybe caught him. Can you take me through that play, what you saw, how you saw it develop?
Yeah, I had a blitz stunt on that was really supposed to go through the B gap, and the guard blocked down on our 5 technique. Like, he just completely got rid of the B gap. So instead of running the B gap, I decided to run the A gap, and I made contact with the back, but I think the center I think he stayed on me pretty good, and he was able to wash me by the play. And like I said, with him, I think his vision's one that is the best I've seen that I've gone up against. And for him to cut back off of where I was, and then I didn't really saw what happened on the back end. I just knew I had to roll out and try to catch him. I just remember knowing we had a stun on that was supposed to go through the B gap, and the guard just blocked down harder on the 5 technique. So I ran the A gap.
And Coach Brown just mentioned about 7 plays in this game within the scope of back and forth that if you guys could have made, then maybe you would have been on the winning end. Can you just talk about how do you guys eliminate some of those big plays that ended up killing you in this game?
I believe it's communication, and then I think our penalties. I believe we got caught on a 3rd and like 5 or 6 where we were off the field, but we turned around and saw a flag, and I think they went on to the very next play and they scored a touchdown. So I mean, that's something that could definitely help. I think in the penalties, we definitely had more penalties than them tonight. And I think that's something that we could get better at. Over the season, we've had times where we're really getting off the field on 3rd down, but we're having penalties, and those end up being points in the long end.
Barnes, go ahead.
Hey, Jeremiah, what are some of the conversations and then some of the adjustments that are taking place throughout the course of the game to try to get more pressure on their quarterbacks?
I think it's just rotation with the defensive line, and then in our other packages, whether we're bringing Chris Collins in, Conley, or if we're moving Trey out there to have more coverage and bring in more pressure from the boundary side. I think it's just personnel and then communication. I think Notre Dame is a really, really good O-line. I think they've always had really good O-linemen. I think they were doing a good job of picking up blitzes and calling out checks. I think what we can do better is maybe bluffing a little bit on some blitzes where, say we're coming at maybe the will line, Mike linebacker's blitzing, and maybe the will needs to sniffle up in the B gap, or the boundary safety come down a little bit, act like he's coming, and then backpedal and get back into his coverage. I think that's something that that we can start talking about, that we can start getting better at, that we can take to the next level, is switching up our blitz looks, like making it look like we're coming from one side, but we're really coming from another.
Great. Thank you.
Andrew Jones.
Hey, Jeremiah, you've mentioned communication a couple of times tonight, and previously this year when you guys had some of those stretches defensively, you said communication was an issue. Was communication the main issue tonight? And if not, what do you think, what else played into them being able to move the ball like they did?
I don't think communication was a huge factor. I mean, the drive after we scored on our first touchdown after half, that was definitely a communication drive. I mean, they scored in, like, I think 2 to 3 plays. That's uncalled for. That was definitely coming back to the sideline. That was definitely communication problem on the back end. And then for definitely in the second half is just staying in our gaps. I think we did a great job of stopping the run in the first half, and then in the second half, I think guys were getting nosy, jumping out of their gaps, not staying disciplined, just staying in their gaps, because he's shown on film that if one gap is taken, he's going to cut back and try to find an open gap, and he did that to us tonight.
Thank you.
All right, last one, Ross Martin, go ahead.
Hey, Jeremiah, what do you think are the main, you mentioned a bunch of things already, so I hate to beat a dead horse, but what do you think the issues are with this defense that kind of keep happening every game that you're seeing, maybe outside of the communication stuff?
Outside of the communication stuff, for me, I feel like all the guys are out there playing hard. I feel like Bateman's calling the right calls in the right situations. I feel like it's just today wasn't communication. I think it was just people really like taking control of their 111th and their 111th responsibility. Yeah, I mean, we jumped out of gaps a lot in the second half. I mean, I think he had like 150 yards, maybe 130, 40 yards in the second half running on us. And I think that was the difference maker in the game, because the run game wasn't really there in the first half. In the second half, he started bursting runs. And I haven't watched film or anything, but for me, with all the cutting and cutbacks he was doing in the backfield, I think it was some guys just getting nosy and hopping out of gaps. And that's where he was being able to find space and get extra yards and pick it up.
Were there any adjustments you can point to that Bateman did throughout the game that you think either helped or weren't effective that you can remember?
There weren't really too many adjustments to have, because the calls that we were calling that we've talked about all week, they did a lot of stuff that we thought they would do. And I think the adjustments we made were the right ones, and the unbalanced checks. Then we made some adjustments in the unbalanced checks, and further in the game, they started to go away from it because Bateman made that adjustment at halftime. So I think Bateman was spot on. I think he was calling the right calls. I mean, even on the ninth run, we had him twice dead in the water in the backfield. He's calling the right plays. I think guys just need to play their 111 and stay sound in what they're doing and not get nosy and try to help other people out. Because I think when things start to fall apart and things start to go the wrong way, I think that's when guys start to think like, maybe I should play my job, but also try to help another guy out, just because things are starting to go downhill. And when things start to go downhill like that, I think everybody needs to zone in and still stay strong on just doing their 111.
Great. Thanks, man.
All right, Jeremiah, thank you for your time.
No problem.